Hello, my jellyfighters. My name is Jim, and this is your Daily Brogue for the 3rd of October, 2021. So, what am I doing today? I am going to continue on that last rant. So, that last rant was something about how difficult it is to live your life if you don't have a celebrity parent. This in particular is something that was coming up. This is, I guess in particular, this is about somebody who's trying to break into the entertainment world in some way. So somebody who wants to be an actor or an actress or something like that. Since this was a woman, there's the exit. Since this was a woman, I'm going to assume she wants to be an actress and not an actor. Although I have met women who want to be actors and still remain women. They just don't like the tress thing because, they're actors and actresses and they think there's some weird, horrible thing about language where you have different endings for different genders. Right? So you think if you're speaking Spanish or French or German or something like that right now that you are safe, but you're not. They're going to come for your languages because they're so sexist. How dare you have different endings for different genders? You are an evil person. For even being born in a place that has such an evil distinction between men and women. How can anybody have such a distinction? Anyways, she is a YouTube lady, girl. I don't know why they want to give their opinions on the internet, especially in this case, when half of your video is reciting Wikipedia articles. Yeah, I mean, literally reading from Wikipedia. That's not really a source, man. And other strange things that she did, like really strange things, like she printed out a graphic and pasted it to quadrille paper. Yeah, I just don't get it. I didn't get it at all. You're on a computer, dude, right? Mr. Computer is already good at doing that by himself. He doesn't need. You don't need to, do anything weird with quadrille paper. No matter how cool quadrille paper is, right? And literally I do love quadrille paper. So, I don't want you to get me wrong and think that I hate quadrille paper and that I don't want you to ever even think about using it. But, okay, there we go. Shattering. Didn't shatter the door. There's a door in the middle of nowhere. Dagger, healing, haste, scale mail. This is literally the worst. Hopefully that dagger is going to be... Shouldn't have picked it up. So I mean, she starts off with, you know, the standard complaints about something like that, like you know, well, in the end, she just wanted, you know, actors and actresses to acknowledge their privilege, which is, you know, they pretend, but they're lying when they pretend that when they say something like acknowledge your privilege, they mean something other than acknowledge the fact that you don't deserve what you got, right? Other people are more deserving of what you have, especially me, because I didn't have all of those advantages. Now, some of these advantages that the kids have are very interesting, right? Because some of the advantages that the kids have are interesting because, or at least she claims other people have, right? The not her people, or the ones with the advantages, right? The privileges. The privilege, among the privileges that they have are that they're able to do things like take unpaid internships. And this was sort of the same thing that made me stop reading, what, Ta-Nehisi Coates or somebody like that. I mean, complete idiot. At one point, he had the Atlantic, everybody in the Atlantic scared of disagreeing with him. You know, other good liberals were scared of disagreeing with him because they didn't want to be seen as racists. Okay, what has happened to my... Okay. Mashy. But I think, in fact, it was, I think, the first thing I read of his. He was complaining about exactly what I'm saying this girl was complaining about, which is you know, to get into his industry, a lot of people have to take unpaid internships. And not everybody, it seems, has enough money to take unpaid internships. Now according to Ta-Nehisi Coates, it's really easy to tell who can and cannot afford an unpaid internship, can take an unpaid internship. And that is, if you're white, you have a rich uncle, right? All white people have rich uncles that... Okay, the new dagger has no extra properties. Sucky. If you're white, you have a rich uncle that will pay for that. And, you know, if you're black, you don't. And therefore, you know, this is why this is all racist, because white people all have rich uncles or something like that. Or maybe have a greater propensity. But that's not it. That's no, how should we say? That's no excuse. right? For then, so yes, let's say 2% of white people have a rich uncle who's willing to pay for them to live in New York City for 5 years, and so on, right? Ooh, what a nice sword. Let's equip that sword. Okay, I'm not sure why the monkey did that. Okay, let's equip demanded mail, apply F, protect weapon, excellent. M, protect armor, good. P, mapping. And I will apply K to O, so I have the right strength, and I will apply the other K to W. Now I've got my kit, as it were. Negation charm, that could be useful. So I stopped listening to him for this exact same reason, because sort of whining because everything in your life isn't perfect is kind of the lowest of the low, right? So we don't care about those people, right? Anybody who whines because somebody else's life is better than their own doesn't deserve to be taken seriously. And that's basically where she ended up at the end, right? Somebody else has a better life than me, well, suck it, right? That's the way it is now, and that's the way it will always be, right? Somebody else will always have a better life than you. If you choose to consider that they have a better life than you, right? You get to choose how you view your own life, right? If you view your own life as competing with people who have better families than you, right? Who have more caring and more wealthier and more caring parents than you had, right? Then, you kind of deserve to be unhappy. You deserve to be unhappy because of, the rottenness in your soul. I get an extra turn 33% of the time. The more times I get an extra turn, the better, right? Spiraled. Apply K to W. Let's come up here and drop the things I won't use anymore. We almost out of darts. T, D, E. Got lots of javelins. And I'm fully protected against acid bounds. So acid bounds become completely boring. Rather than insanely scary. So, yeah, I mean, I probably mentioned that, you know, my college experience was not the same experience as my students. You could say that it was a little less privileged. And why would you say that? Well, because I had to take the bus to school. I mean, I literally had to live in order to work, eat, and sort of survive, as well as, you know, figure out how to pay tuition and stuff like that. Ooh, that's a really good banded male. Maybe. If we can figure out how to get to it. Woo's Grepus. Sounds like you're groping. A drunk woman. Which is something you may or may not have had some experience with in the past. And you may have had some experience with it while you were drunk, which means you don't remember any of it. Let's see. There we go. So yeah, that's one of my least favorite things is listening to people whine that they didn't have it good, because it seems to me that if they worked a little harder, there's a good chance do I see a couple places where it's possible. There we go. Oh, we've got the black jelly. Excellent. Do I know how many firebolts I have? No. Okay, I thought that would be it. 3 is pretty common. Okay, we will hold off on the unknown runic banded mail until we either find a potion of strength or both a potion of enchanting and a potion of where's my ogre? Oh, there he is. Okay, so this is it was +2, now it's +3. So the other banded mail is just as good, except I don't have the strength for it because this other one's been boosted once. So I don't have a lot of tolerance for that particular kind of rhetoric. I don't like it at all. Because it really does try to minimize other people's achievements. Okay, let's go ahead and see what that is. Remind me I have to switch though. If I see any nasties. See any acid mounds. And usually it's a thing where they have this issue with people, but it's sort of an issue in their heads, right? Scroll of identify. P. Scroll of identify, or scroll E is charging. We only have one more identify, and best practice would like to do it with the banded mail, but best practice is with either to keep it or put it on the firebolt so you know the number of charges that you have. There's the first bad scroll. But I have not found the... Oh, D is also good banded mail. Oh, wonderful. 3 enchanted banded mails. Some incendiary darts, which we don't know could be useful, could be required for something. So we'll keep them. So many not nice things. Okay, well, you. And let's haste. Okay, so a lot of very nice things happening because of the this particular sword. Right, because it's allowing me to take those extra turns. What is this guy? Enchanting. So what I see from that is more extra turns. Oh, that's nice. Oh, invisibility's gone. Okay, so I do not have anything good to throw at them. Although who knows, this could be quite good. Multiplicity, very nice. Okay, so that is definitely a keeper. Let's see what's around here. Nothing. I've got a good ruby ring, but I don't know what it is. Average everyday broadsword versus my multiplicity, not. So we have things that I like, but that sort of speed. I don't know what happens with the altar. Do you know much about what happens with the altar? Maybe I should keep the war pike. Maybe I don't know, does it just switch the enchantments, or does it switch the runic as well? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to remain annoyed at the girl. Now, some things she's going to say are true, but sort of not-ish. I don't know if that makes any sense. So, one thing she's talking about is education, right? Education in the United States is in some way locally funded. I mean, they sort of overdo this point because it is the United States, so every state is different and often very, very different, right? And with this particular, what did I throw it in? Okay, I did throw a dart, so that's the last dart. So, I recall, in fact, when I was a kid, for example, the state started taking all of the local tax money, the property tax money, and pulling it through the state at the central plus spot, through the central I'm not sure what they did with that central spot. So they started pulling it through the center, through the state government in order to equalize, they said, the funding in the different school districts. In that particular case, it was probably, I would guess, it was probably mainly to the benefit of rural school districts over suburban ones. Okay, that's enough C. Okay, so I had 2 plus 2 banded males sitting around. Scroll shattering, not necessarily my favorite pixies. Let's see, how close can I get to the pixie? There we go. Okay. Pixies are nasty. It's a bad whip. We will ignore the bad whip. There's a room full of bloats. More banded male. Another scroll of enchanting. How's my rations? I'm doing okay with food. Let's see if I can get down there and see. Okay, that doesn't look good there. Looks like underworms. Those look like Worf's salamanders and an explosive bloat. Oh, Jesus. I don't like the look of that troll. What is that troll? An explosive troll. Oh, this is nasty. Crap, a salamander. Bingo. That's worth fighting for. I hope they get a chance. Oh, I'm good? Okay, good. I'm not sure what's going on. I think one of those trolls had something that I didn't notice. Oops. Okay, good. I'm now a little worried. Do I have tunneling? Unfortunately lost my Dar Priestess. She's a really good ally. In that fight. Damn the underworms. Okay. Down we go. So, yeah, so I was saying that especially in these particular, I wonder what V is. Professions, any profession like acting or art that has this L-shaped curve. Those kinds of professions are always going to be sort of unfair. At their core, they will be unfair. And that is because they have that L-shaped curve there. They have the strange symptom, right, where only the very best of the best actually make any money whatsoever. Of course, the most important thing is that it's not quite true, right? And I mean that it has to be the most meaningful way possible is that I do not have is a fire immunity charm. Could have a, it's possible, it's a fire immunity potion, but the other guys are not. Viable alternatives. And we can see that pretty readily with Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., flagship city for the United States. I don't know, maybe somebody else is the flagship city, I don't know. But Washington, D.C., it's a lot of extra money for educating its kids. In Washington, D.C., the average is something like 2 or 3 times the national average, depending on the year. But somewhere in there. I mean, it varies quite radically, right? I mean, at some point, it costs $10,000 per pupil to educate someone in Washington, D.C. I mean, and just an insane amount more than elsewhere. In the country. Silver ones, silver ones. I was afraid of that. Burning and nauseous. Just a day at the beach. Tells me this is a dead end. So this is, I mean, it's not a huge, amazing problem, but it is kind of an issue when people are running around complaining about something, right? When they're saying, well, there's still not enough money, there's not enough opportunity. Well, at some point, we do all we can do with money, right? Money is not the only thing. There are lots of things that the American education system has to do, right? So lots of them, right? It's kind of interesting. Crap. But we know that one of the thing that we don't need to do is spend more money. That's not an issue, right? Equalizing things is never an issue because equalization always seems to just increase the amount that we're giving to people without trying to improve the actual educational process, right? Uh-oh. Where did that load go? Okay. What is he flying in? Shallow water. Okay. So, and that is an issue. It can be an issue. If the total amount of materials is inadequate, right? Usually not true. Usually not true, right? What tends to be inadequate is that see, I have what, 9 javelins. Okay, no reason to go for that, I see. Okay, the Revenant. Bog monsters. Okay, linking P. More underworms. Okay, a Wandering Revenant. We'll have to do the recharging and negation. Scroll protect armor. I think I have all the armor I want. Lots of 9 javelins, which is strange. Oh, the guy stole half of the 18. Shit. Okay. I plunged through a hole on the ground. Way to go, into some steam. There's a golem. Oops. There I was, wasting my time on depth 21, getting myself killed. I should have been running away as soon as I saw the Dark Priestess. Feels like there's a battle mage somewhere, but those groups of Dars at this level should have been bad. What did I want to say about these guys? I mean, what you really need in the US is tracking, right? You really need some way to find the students that will succeed, especially in the lower classes, right? You want to go to those guys first and then try to get to the next level of people, right? So we've been trying to just throw money at urban schools, at black schools for a long time, right? I mean, underclass black schools, not just blacks, but underclass blacks. And that hasn't worked. That hasn't worked because, it only works for a subset of those students. Only a subset. And if there are ways to identify what that subset is, those students should be moved to a different place. Hopefully physically, but it could be just a different classroom. Hopefully a different school altogether than the average student, right? And there are ways to do that. There are ways to do that. There are places where that has worked in the United States. So introducing more tracking into the curriculum is highly, highly important. And we just don't do it. For some reason, we have an aversion to tracking in the United States. And that's because we think, generally, that we can mitigate the effects of having bad parents. And you can't. You cannot fix bad parents. It doesn't work. It just doesn't. So what you have to do is you have to find the kids with the good parents, set them aside, put them somewhere away from the other kids, and get them working in a way that will make them succeed.